What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Bisping has shared his belief that Islam Makhachev is simply unbeatable at welterweight right now. Speaking confidently, Bisping said he genuinely does not see anyone defeating Islam anytime soon, no matter how stacked the division may be. He explained that while the welterweight division is arguably the deepest and most dangerous in the sport, he still leans heavily toward Islam dominating it. Bisping said he could easily talk for another 20 minutes about all the possible contenders, breaking down who might have a chance and why certain fighters could pose problems. But even with all that discussion, his conclusion remains the same. Bisping acknowledged that there are many talented fighters at welterweight, each with unique skill sets and strong arguments for success. He mentioned that Michael Morales had been viewed as an undefeated rising star, but it recently came out that his record was adjusted after an early career bout was discovered. That change officially moved his record to around 18-1, though Bisping stressed that this detail does not really alter the bigger picture. According to him, the division is filled with high-level contenders who are dangerous, athletic, and capable of winning against almost anyone else. However, when it comes to Islam Makhachev, Bisping believes the consistency, control, and overall dominance set him apart from the rest of the field. He emphasized that Islam's ability to dictate where the fight takes place, combined with his composure and experience, makes him incredibly hard to beat. Despite all the excitement around new names and shifting records, Bisping made it clear that he is staying firmly with Islam as the man to beat at welterweight. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Ilia has won his first legal battle against his ex-wife, Georgina, following a recent court appearance in Spain. Earlier this week, Ilia appeared before a judge after Georgina requested permission to travel from Spain to Miami with their daughter. The court ultimately ruled in Ilia's favor, dismissing all of Georgina's requests. During the hearing, Georgina claimed that she needed to leave Spain due to online harassment and safety concerns. However, the judge rejected this argument after reviewing the timeline of events. The court noted that flight tickets for the proposed trip had already been purchased 12 days before Ilia released a public statement that later gained widespread media attention. Because of this, the judge concluded that the decision to travel was not directly connected to the alleged online harassment. The ruling also addressed the 4-month period in which Ilia was unable to see his daughter. According to the court, this situation was the result of the mother's decision to prevent the father from having contact, not any legal restriction placed on Ilia. This detail played a significant role in the final judgment. With the legal matter temporarily resolved, Ilia can now shift his full focus back to his fighting career. Reports indicate that he is targeting a return to the UFC in late spring or during the summer. For now, Ilia secures an important win outside the cage, closing one chapter as he prepares for his next appearance on the sport's biggest stage. Moving on to another news. Dan Hooker fires back at Paddy Pimblett after comments made during a recent MMA Guru interview. Paddy spoke about Hooker and questioned his grappling, comparing him to Justin Gaethje and suggesting age was being exaggerated. He said Gaethje is actually older and implied Hooker could not grapple his way out of trouble, making it sound like a casual joke, but one that clearly struck a nerve. Dan Hooker responded on X by reposting a video of running into Paddy ahead of UFC Qatar. He wrote that Paddy said nothing when they were face-to-face, adding that he thought they were mates and calling him Paddy the Batty. The post also included a reference to Ricky, a close friend of Paddy who tragically died by suicide in 2022, just days before Paddy fought Jordan Levitt at UFC London. Paddy has previously spoken emotionally about that time, explaining that he woke up at 4 in the morning to a message saying one of his friends back home had taken his own life only hours before weigh-ins. He dedicated that fight to Ricky and later urged people to speak openly about mental health. Hooker did not stop there. He followed up with another post saying, "It is on site, you fat bitch," escalating the situation even further. Paddy quickly fired back, saying they could never be mates because he is ranked above Hooker. He added that Hooker took a hypothetical joke about grappling and responded by bringing up a friend who committed suicide, calling it the lowest of the low. Paddy finished by saying on site is fine by him and claimed Hooker is an utter dog at fighting. The heated exchange has fans buzzing online and could add fuel to a future lightweight clash discussion across the global MMA community. Moving on to another news. Kamaru Usman has shared why he believes it would be a bad idea for the UFC to stack a White House card with 6 or 7 title fights. Speaking candidly, Usman said the concept might sound exciting on paper, but in reality, it could seriously hurt the overall quality and enjoyment of the event. He explained that watching 7 title fights back-to-back means sitting through 5-round fights one after another, which can be exhausting for fans. Usman bluntly said that nobody really wants to watch that many long fights in a row, especially if several of them end up being slow or uneventful. He pointed out that if 4, 5, or even 6 title fights in succession turn out boring, the entire card could lose momentum very quickly. Usman emphasized that title fights are very different from contender fights. According to him, fans usually want to see hungry contenders who are willing to take big risks and put everything on the line. Champions, on the other hand, have a completely different objective. Their main goal is to keep the belt, which means fighting smart, tactical, and strategic rather than reckless. He explained that champions are not going out there to throw caution to the wind and swing wildly like it is a bar fight. That kind of approach is not what makes someone a champion in the first place. Being smarter, more disciplined, and more calculated than everyone else is what allows fighters to reach the top and stay there. Because of that mindset, Usman believes stacking too many title fights together is a recipe for long, drawn-out battles that may not always deliver excitement. He reiterated that the idea of putting 6 or 7 title fights on one card is simply a bad move. Usman even joked that by the time the 3rd title fight rolled around, he might already be asleep. For him, balance is key, and mixing title fights with high-stakes contender matchups is what truly creates an unforgettable fight card. Moving on to another news. Daniel Cormier revealed how a single text message helped bring together the season of The Ultimate Fighter reality show, featuring him and Jon Jones as opposing coaches. According to Cormier, it all started when he received a message from an unknown number that immediately caught his attention. Cormier explained that a few months ago, he got a text from a number he did not recognize. When he opened it, he noticed it was a video, but the message had come through WhatsApp, an app he does not check very often. Once he finally opened WhatsApp and played the clip, the moment instantly stood out to him. He said the first thing that appeared on his screen was a Russian guy, and then the camera slowly panned to the right. Standing there was Jon Jones. Cormier admitted that seeing Jones pop up like that immediately triggered his competitive instincts, because his mindset has always been about competition, no matter the setting. Cormier said that people know the one thing he always wants to do is compete against Jon Jones in anything possible. He does not love the idea of simply being around him casually, but he believes that over the years of fighting and interacting, Jones learned one important thing about him. If you challenge Daniel Cormier, he is going to respond. He emphasized that the response might not always go the way people expect. Sometimes it could be calm, sometimes intense. But one thing is guaranteed. If Jon Jones throws out a challenge, Cormier is never going to ignore it. That competitive spark, ignited by a video message, eventually helped set the tone for both men agreeing to coach opposite sides on the show. For Cormier, it was not about comfort or friendship. It was about competition and answering challenges. Moving on to another news. Justin Gaethje's coach Trevor Wittman has openly admitted that the upcoming fight against Paddy Pimblett represents the final title run of Gaethje's UFC career. Wittman did not hesitate to say it out loud, explaining that this is truly their last push toward gold. He said that if they do not win this fight, they are not going to keep going just to hang around. There is no interest in becoming a gatekeeper or chasing money fights for the sake of it. According to Wittman, Gaethje is a goal setter, and his mentality has always been about purpose and direction rather than simply fighting for paydays. Wittman shared a personal moment to explain Gaethje's mindset. He described being at Gaethje's house during a family dinner, having what he called a true and honest conversation. He made it clear that he was not speaking to Justin directly, but to his family about the realities of the sport and the road ahead. He recalled how Gaethje finished the moment by saying, "It's not over, coach," which Wittman believes perfectly captures who he is. He explained that Gaethje is unique because he would fight over and over if he could, but he also understands the importance of being there for his family. He knows he has to be smart, protect his health, and make decisions that make sense beyond the cage. Wittman added that if they managed to win the belt, his dream scenario would be to defend it repeatedly and truly cement Gaethje's legacy. However, he pointed out that the upcoming bout is for an interim title, meaning they are not champions yet. To truly complete this last run, they would still need to go on and win the undisputed belt next. Moving on to another news. Jon Jones has given massive praise to Islam Makhachev, placing him firmly in the conversation as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Jones showed respect to the pound-for-pound king after Islam delivered a dominant performance to shut down JDM and capture the welterweight title, further cementing his legacy. As Islam continues stacking accomplishments, the heavyweight landscape around Jones remains intriguing. Alex Pereira is currently sidelined after breaking his foot in October during his title, reclaiming knockout win over Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 320. Pereira is targeting a return in the summer, a timeline that lines up with several potential blockbuster cards, including the highly discussed White House event. His long-talked-about move to heavyweight is still very much alive, and a future clash with Jones remains one of the biggest what-ifs in the sport, even if exact timelines are still unclear. What makes Jones offering this praise even more significant is the history behind it. Jon has had a long and heated relationship with Team Khabib when it comes to pound-for-pound rankings. Years ago, Jones openly disagreed with Khabib being ranked above him. Fast forward to about a year ago, and the same tension resurfaced when fans, media, and even the UFC began pushing Islam ahead of Jones in the rankings. When asked again about Islam's place on the all-time great list following his dominant win over JDM, Jones did not hesitate. He said that Islam is definitely one of the greatest fighters of all time and clearly belongs among the elite. Jones added that Islam is absolutely one of those guys who stands apart from the rest. Jones also said he was not surprised by Islam's dominance. According to him, Islam is a special athlete, one of those rare individuals who seem chosen to do great things in the sport. Jones expressed excitement about watching the rest of Islam's career unfold, acknowledging that while there is still work ahead, Islam is on the right path and doing everything correctly. He finished by saying that Islam is one of the fighters he respects most in the sport. Coming from someone with Jones' legacy, those words carry serious weight and further highlight just how highly Islam Makhachev is now regarded across the MMA world. Moving on to another news. Justin Gaethje's camp is making it very clear that the upcoming fight against Paddy Pimblett will not be just a striking contest. According to Gaethje's coach, Trevor Wittman, fans should expect a much more complete and aggressive approach, especially when it comes to offensive grappling. Wittman explained that Gaethje's grappling has evolved dramatically over recent years. This is no longer about simply defending takedowns or scrambling back to his feet. Instead, Gaethje is actively looking to control where the fight takes place, dictate the pace, and apply constant pressure on his opponents. Wittman stressed that this evolution will play a major role in the matchup with Paddy. While many believe Paddy's clearest path to victory is through grappling, Gaethje's team insists they are fully prepared for every possible scenario, whether the fight stays on the feet, moves into the clinch, or hits the ground. Wittman says there will be no room for surprises. Gaethje's defensive wrestling has always been solid, but now it has become more offensive, more positional, and far more strategic. According to Wittman, the focus is on controlling the cage, forcing opponents to react, and creating opportunities to land damaging strikes from unexpected angles. He pointed to past fights as key learning moments, especially Gaethje's stoppage loss to Charles Oliveira. That fight, he said, made it clear that defensive grappling alone is not enough against elite competition. Wittman shared that they did not enter this camp believing it would be a pure striking battle. He said, one of the things he is proudest of is how much time Gaethje has invested into his grappling. His wrestling level is already high, but the emphasis now is on offensive and positional fighting. Wittman recalled conversations with the team after the Oliveira loss, explaining that constantly thinking about how to avoid positions or escape danger is not a winning formula. He described Gaethje as one of the best scramblers in the sport, capable of explosive slams reminiscent of Rampage Jackson. Wittman emphasized that Gaethje's style has always been offensive, and to be a champion, fighters must push opponents backward and keep them on their heels. You cannot win fights by being reactive. He finished by highlighting Gaethje's unique ground and pound. When opponents grapple with him, they are met with punches from unusual angles that are extremely effective. Wittman believes this offensive mindset, especially on the ground, will be a decisive factor against Paddy Pimblett. Moving on to another news. A recent interview has sparked major discussion across the MMA world after images surfaced showing Khamzat being out-wrestled in training by an Olympic gold medalist. Russian MMA reporter Usha Taika recently sat down with Razambek Zhamalov, one of Dagestan's most accomplished wrestlers and a proven elite competitor on the global stage. During the interview, Zhamalov was asked directly about the photos that appeared online last month. The images showed Khamzat struggling during a wrestling session, immediately igniting debate among fans and analysts. At first, Zhamalov chose his words carefully, making sure to show respect and avoid any sense of disrespect or internet bait. He praised Khamzat for his physical strength, toughness, and competitive mindset, emphasizing that he is extremely strong and resilient. Zhamalov made it clear that Khamzat is a dangerous MMA fighter and that the training session should not be misunderstood or taken out of context. However, once that respect was firmly established, his tone shifted toward honesty. Zhamalov calmly explained that when it comes strictly to pure wrestling, especially at the highest technical level, there is a clear difference. He stated that while Khamzat is excellent in MMA grappling situations, traditional wrestling exchanges favored him consistently. According to Zhamalov, his success came largely through fundamentals, particularly double-leg takedowns. He revealed that they trained together when Khamzat visited their gym in Dagestan. During those sessions, Zhamalov said he gave Khamzat a lot of trouble every time they worked together. He added that this success was not limited to pure wrestling alone, as he also had moments of control in grappling exchanges. Zhamalov admitted that certain MMA elements did challenge him. He said Khamzat caused problems in clinch situations, especially when using submissions to escape bad positions. Those moments reminded him that MMA grappling is very different from traditional wrestling. Still, the overall experience boosted his confidence significantly. He explained that getting hands-on experience with MMA grappling against one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC showed him that his wrestling could immediately create problems inside the cage. Because of that, Zhamalov revealed something surprising. He is now genuinely interested in a potential move to MMA. He said that before this experience, he never seriously considered crossing over. But after seeing what he could do in a real training environment, the idea suddenly feels realistic. For Zhamalov, the session was not just about training. It opened the door to a possible future in MMA.